sets. There we go. That was the problem. We were on the wrong set. Anyway, all right. All right, everybody. We're back. Sorry about that.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's been a long week. And I know Kimmy's been busy. I've been busy. We want to welcome you guys back for another episode of Friday Night Live with Griffin Gaming and my buddy, Kimmy. And yeah, Kimmy, there's a couple things we're going to cover tonight. A little bit of ISC tonight,
Okay.
and we're also going to cover Star Citizen Live, which I have not seen. Kimmy got a piece of it already. I have not seen it at all. So tonight we're actually going to watch it live. And of course, as always, guys, we are live to have you come in and talk with us during the show. So if you want to come in and ask questions, or if there's something in either of the videos that you want to jump in and give your thoughts, your 100 cents, your 2 cents, whatever, you are welcome to join us. The link is on our page, and it will also pop up from time to time in the chat. So we would love to have you guys come talk with us. Last week we had a great bunch of conversations, right, Kimmy? Bunch of good folks talked to us last week.
Oh yeah.
Admiral
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Kusanagi, and yeah, we had a lot of good people who came in last week. So,
Square peg.
Yeah, that's right, Square Pick. Let me ask you this: how was your week? Did you get to monkey around in Star Citizen in 10.1 at all, or this week? I got in like a couple times, but I didn't mess
Briefly,
around.
briefly, Griff. And it was just a thing of me looking at the visuals overall and the gaming gameplay experience. I did not run into a lot of the 30Ks, which was a good thing, right?
Right.
Some of the lighting visuals were very obvious in game. I thought
Okay.
that was pretty nice. But overall, it was just a touch and go on the experience. So I have yet to really dive in as I'm right now. I'm currently doing a rebuild and changing some things around with my stream machine and such. So yeah, I expect to get back in, but over the course of that time, I've been seeing a lot of pushes in regards to patches, which is a good thing, right?
Yes, forgive me for the technical difficulties here, gang. It's not Kimmy's fault. It's all on me.
So definitely
There we go, buddy.
looking forward to jumping back in.
Yes. I got to go in just a little bit because didn't they upgraded the patch, right? We went from 10.3.10 point to 1 or something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. I thought there was some type of odd patch that came
And,
out this week.
and
Is
I'm
that
in
right?
back. I'm back in spirit now.
Yeah. Wasn't there some weird patch, Kimmy, that came out? Did we go to 310.1 this week? Didn't they put out like a hot fix or something?
Yes, yes. It's
Okay.
it's it's so far. I think it's up to three. I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
But 2 to 3 patches have been released. I think we got one this evening that came out as well.
Yep.
So,
And there was a big announcement this week. We heard a little bit of rumor about it a week ago, and that was the Talon, right? Did you buy one? Is the
yes.
question. You did. Did you buy one or two? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He stammered. Oh
You're
no.
so wrong.
He
You're
stammered.
so wrong
He
for that.
stammered. He stammered. I'm trying to take a guess. Let me
So
think.
wrong.
Let me think. Do I think Kimmy bought one or two? I'm going to say I know you have a bit of reservation about yourself, but I also know you've got a fighter's heart, so I would say you bought at least one of them. I'm not going to say two. What are you going to tell me?
I I did pass Griff, but no, I do like the fact that they're getting the alien ships in
Okay.
and getting of a balance between human and alien variants.
Yeah.
But I recently what I did previously was get the rock, so that one
Okay.
kind of jumped on me like immediate. Like I didn't expect that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do like what they did. I didn't like the design.
Okay.
I'm really liking the design and its capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and I can kind of see that as the thing of doing pirating with that type of ship and doing strikes
Yeah.
with that ship in space. So I kind of passed on that, but I'm still up in the air about whether I grab one or not. But yeah, uh, seems to be doing pretty well on sales.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that kind of surprised me is that people were amidst all of the other stuff that's been going on. You and I've been talking about all the controversies and the disappointments with the delay of 310 and everything else. Uh, this ship comes out, and people seem to take to it. I think they said it's supposed to be available for flight in December, and people are anticipating it. And I've heard
Yes.
quite a few people
Yes.
say they bought both. You know, and what did you think about the price though? Did the
Yes.
price catch you off guard, particularly for an alien ship, or did you think that was a reasonable price for it? Because I know it is a light fighter, which puts it in the category
Right.
of the
Right.
the Arrow and the Gladius, and they're priced around that price. But I'm surprised with it being alien that it was still there. I would have thought it maybe would have pushed, because
Yes.
usually the alien ships are a little higher. I mean, what do you think?
Yes. I agree with you there. Good point on the price point right there, Griff. It was a little shocker, and I think it encouraged more sales in that regard. But
Okay,
yeah, I was like, wow, this is an alien, an original LTI, right?
okay, right,
LTI
right.
alien ship, and $90. So that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. That's a win for backers who want to get in or try a different type of ship. But I think one of the other things in that regard, Griff, is what it says, big picture. Don't give up. SIG has not given up on the flight mode or PvP. I think that was a message sent to backers who've been a little bit disappointed to have been disappointed with the flight model as
Mm-hmm.
far as the PvP is concerned. So that's just to say to them, hey, they're creating a fighter ship.
Mm-hmm.
They're not done. This is first iteration of
Right.
the flight mode and fighter mode of PvP. So uh, by them sending that ship, it sent a message as well. Don't give up on it. They're not done.
It definitely opens the door for the whole Tavarin thing, because all we had was the Prowler, right? And now we're starting to see,
Yes.
a little bit more about design and the way they even do battle. I think one of the things I read in the brochure, I know you kind of already know this stuff, but for people who don't know it, one of the things that makes the Tavarin ships unique are their, what's it called, Phalanx Shields. And they alluded to in the
Yes.
brochure
Shields.
that when a group of those fighters are together, they're able to move their shields in such a place that it also protects the ships and fighters that are behind them. I'm really curious to see where that tech's going to go. And it's down, like you said, this is the first iteration. We aren't there yet. But I'm really curious to see how they're going to develop that. It's definitely unique. Well,
And as you know, Chris,
yeah,
as you know, Griff, sorry, that I like to coin those phrases a love letter to, right?
yes,
It's a love letter to the Guardians of the Galaxy when you
yeah,
saw the Nova Corps
yep,
emit those shields and made a
hmm,
wall.
yeah, absolutely, right on point. Well, let's jump into it. Let's look at that ISC, because this week's ISC actually, that was the big
Hmm.
subject for that was this week. So let's hit that. And again, guys, if you want to join in on the conversation, feel free.
So I
Hit the
think it's
link.
really important for
Yes.
the alien races to have representation.
It adds extra depth to the gameplay and to visuals.
There are all these weird and wonderful races, and they each want to have their own style and influence.
But, obviously with human stuff, a lot of it is quite familiar, whereas the alien races, that really is an opportunity for us to sort of push the boundaries of the Star Citizen visuals.
I really like how the Tavarin race and their ships look. It is very different to the other ships in game. And at the moment, the Tavarin only really have the Prowler, and that's a dropship, so it's not suited for a wide range of players. So we created the Talon to be a fighter counterpart to it. So the Talon is already well into production. It is already flyable in engine, and it's great to get a concept straight into engine without a sort of a pause in between.
So we worked really hard on the visuals and the materials of this ship. You can see that it's very different to anything that we've done in the past. The silhouette, that's a really striking silhouette hanging in the sky. And, to form that sort of silhouette with this ship, we've built the wings, we've got the strong shoulders, and those wings, when they're in full spread, you can see the feathers.
You see the translucence,
we've got
Kimmy, in the wings,
this
the translucent colors they
iridescent
got. That's so
paint,
cool.
sort of a dielectric. It's very much reminiscent of birds like starlings, and that sort of runs through the ship.
The Talon is built to be a fighter that has some stealth elements to it. So it
Segue
excels
to
at
the
jumping
VFX.
in, striking hard, and then getting
Sure.
out of the fight using its agility to escape returning fire. And it falls into that trope of glass cannon. It is
Can you
very
imagine color
agile,
variants?
it has very low
Ships,
armor, and it has relatively
strike in
big
the
guns
snow,
for its
all
size.
white,
It comes with 2 gimbaled size 3 ballistic weapons as default. That means it has a size 4 hardpoint
force
layer.
ships,
So you have the
alien
choice of
ships.
going with the default loadout of size 3 gimbaled, or you can really maximize the damage and change to size 4 weapons. It also comes equipped with a missile rack on each wing, so you do have some missiles, but it really isn't the focus of the ship. It's all about the guns. The other area of the talent that provided us with a challenge internally is the whole ejection cockpit canopy setup,
this-
because a lot of our ships
This
get
freaked
in,
me out.
you get
The
on the seat, and
ejection
the seat
system?
ejects. This is the whole entire
was really cool,
dashboard and flight controls
neat.
eject out
Yeah.
with you, and that's something that we haven't done in ships before. We've had the ability to fire off parts, but not the entire cockpit.
Kinda
When
like
you're going
Griff,
from landing
they
to
should've
takeoff,
had that concept
ship is gonna
earlier
transform
in their
before your eyes.
designs. They
And
would
it's
have
going
done
to
it.
go
It's like,
from
oh, we're getting better at this.
position
And it's like, oh
into
my
a bird
god,
of
you
prey
can only put it
in
back in
flight.
the earlier
The wings
stuff.
will be expanding, the feathers will be revealed, and in terms of when you're flying around, you're going to have the sun glinting off that iridescent paint. I mean, it's just going to look amazing.
While the vehicle teams use alien ships to push against the familiar and stretch the boundaries of what we know about the universe of Star Citizen, the mocap and gameplay story animation teams work to bring as much recognizable truth and authenticity of motion as they can to the smaller story elements that permeate throughout the Squadron 42 campaign experience.
We've got the Admiral in here with us. The Admiral's here. He's joined us. Admiral Kusanagi, welcome back. Uh-oh, we had him with us. Maybe he stepped away.
07, yeah, Admiral.
I thought maybe he came in because we were talking about this. You there, Admiral?
He's dealing with his Asperia issue.
Is that what it is? Okay. All right. We'll keep it rolling. Maybe he'll come back and we'll get him going. I thought maybe he was going to
Testing.
Oh, there he
That
is.
me?
Yeah.
I think
there
you got
we
it now.
go.
Okay,
We
I'm
got
back.
Got something to say.
Yeah. Welcome back, man.
Thanks for having me.
Oh no. Good. What's your thoughts, man?
I was just blown away by the price.
Mhm.
Really? I mean, I definitely got
Yeah.
one.
Mm.
I
was a
got the
shocker.
missile boat.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a
Oh, very
saber.
nice.
So I kind of feel it takes the same role as the fighter.
Interesting.
So I didn't want 2 ships. So yeah, but I like the idea of just like kind of dive bombing a location or being off to the side where no one can see you. If something happens, then you could just jump right in.
And protecting your rear with those shields.
Were you kind of a favoring toward the Tavaran design and ships, or was it just this particular one that caught your eye?
No, not really, because again, if you recall, I'd like to do mining and stuff like that, so I wasn't wasn't needing a drop ship.
Right.
But the fact that it's so strong, because with Death of a Spaceman, you look at like, okay, well, if I go out there, I don't want to die, and the ejection system they have there potentially could have thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes.
could be directional thrusters on it. But either that, it doesn't matter. The survivability is very high on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think people are buying it to like get into these. It's not like a crazy fighting ship. It's like you guys said, like from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's these little tiny fighters that use a lot of them, like a swarm.
Mm-hmm.
And like the
Yes.
pictures show,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their strength, the fact that you can have this swarm that's you can't see, and then you just come out of the blue, and then you attack an area real quick, 5-10 minutes, you're gone.
Right.
Or escort too, Admiral.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right,
would
an
be a
escort. But
cool
I also
ship
wouldn't use
escort.
I wouldn't use it an escort for like a normal escort,
Mm-hmm.
because like if you think about an escort, you'd be like a show of force. Like if you're moving, say 3 Hull Cs or whatever. You're not going to have like 10 of these there, because you're just going to get people showing up to like, so we'd have other normal fighters, I would think.
Yeah.
This is if they have other stealth transports and stuff like that, you could go wherever you wanted to go, and these could be with those like just the same, just flying with them normally.
Yeah.
But these are kind of like the Saber, I think. But you guys are talking about the Phalanx shield system. I mean, you're going into a target, you have it aimed forward, pass the target after you do whatever you were doing, put it to your rear, and you're out.
Yeah.
It's great for the Death of a Spaceman.
Yeah.
Great for Death of a
Yes.
Spaceman.
They
Yes.
one of the things
And Admiral, to what you were saying about the. Oh, go ahead, Griff.
no, go ahead, Kimmy. You first.
Well, I was segueing to what Admiral said about the ejection system, the cockpit system. I was. It's funny he said that, where you have a chance to keep your spaceman alive. And the first thing I thought was, well, maybe the ejection system will propel you so fast and so quickly away from the field of battle that you're at a safe distance where you can maneuver maybe to a space station or planet side. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be another interesting aspect of that ship once they reveal the true capabilities. So I was there too with Admiral with that ejection system.
Yeah. And I was going to just touch on the fact that you said something, Admiral, about the fact that the ship is, and they even marketed it as a ship that's kind of like a hit and run ship. You come in with a lot of firepower. You got adjusting your shields to the front, so you can come in on a strong attack, and then literally get out of there. It'll be really interesting to see, as you said, if you saw people in swarms of these coming. I can imagine. I think what is it, size 4s? It can take a size 4 fixed, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Yes.
For a ship that size, that's a lot of power. And if you've got several ships like that coming at you at one time, it'll be really interesting to see if people can actually coordinate, their efforts in battle using these ships. And I think it's a beautiful design. This one kind of took that whole avian look to another level for me. The Prowler has it, but this one just looks like a bird. You know what I mean? Just the feathers, everything is there. I have to give hats off, kudos to CIG, the folks who are doing these designs and coming up with these designs that are based around either a race or manufacturer. They're putting a lot of time and effort and work into these designs and making them work in physics. That's the other thing. It's not just they're pretty in the aspect of from a costumey way, from just aesthetics. But the fact that they actually have to make these ships so that they respond to atmosphere, respond to different levels of attack, shielding, all that stuff is tied into it. So I think it's a very, very cool ship. Very cool ship.
Definitely.
I didn't buy one though, Kimmy. Didn't buy one. And I know it's not because it wasn't
Neither did
Origin.
but I was tempted. No,
You were tempted? Okay.
that was a good purchase. Whoever got it.
$90, man. I'm sorry.
Well, plus you get the uniforms. You get the armor.
The helmet,
Yes,
all that
that's
was
right.
thrown in. Yeah, it's and even the uniform is a very cool. The suit is very, very cool.
You just need your own little Birdman theme song whenever you jump into it. Birdman.
Birdman.
That's very, very cool. It'll be.
I
interesting.
remember.
Yeah, it'll be.
See, he
know what?
remembers that. It's going old school right
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, Hanna-Barbera, man. They were the kings. If only they followed the Fantastic Four animation for the movies.
Yeah. Let me ask you
It'll be
guys a
great.
question. Do you all think that there will be orgs that will actually form themselves around Tavarin? You know what I mean? Literally, that's what they're going to fly. I mean, Tess jokes around and says we're about
why not?
Auroras, but we fly everything. But I'm curious, do you think there'll be people who will actually adapt a Tavarin attitude as an organization and all their ships will be Tavarin? Or do you think it'll just be, they're exotic ships just to have?
You can go, Kimmy.
Okay, Admiral. Well, that's an easy one. The fact that we have alien language, we have people who are hackers who are right now saying, hey, they want to play as an alien race in game. So, that's an easy one. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think that he's hitting the nail on the head there. You're going to have people who never saw these ships before and didn't really see the Tavarin manufacturing being an option, and whether it be using them for bounty hunting or something like that. You never know what will come out of this. Maybe we'll get a giant owl-shaped transport ship that's stealth. Who knows? but it certainly would be a lot easier, I think, in terms of like financing your org. If you've got like
Yeah.
40 different, let's say like 5 different manufacturers and all this different stuff, once they put in like costs, like serious costs into play, like dealing with all these different manufacturers is going to be a pain in the butt, if depending upon how deep they go into it. So if you're only dealing with one manufacturer, maybe it won't be that bad.
That's a good point.
Good point, Cameron.
Let's see. Shadow Valarian, I want you to elaborate a little bit on it. Good to see you tonight. You said a lot of Prowler owners are going to be upset about the armor. Is that... I'm not completely sure. Probably something I may have missed in the description of it. So if you want to elaborate, that would be great. Again, anybody who wants to join in on the chat, all you have to do is click on the link and come into our Discord. And just like Admiral Kusanagi, who's been here 2 weeks in a row, you can join in on the conversation. Admiral, until we get somebody else in, you want to hang in for a couple seconds? We're going to pick up part 2.
Yeah,
of
sure.
ISC.
I'll bother you guys. I don't mind.
No problem. We're going to pick up part 2 of ISC here, so hang on.
The reason I got into motion capture is I wanted to tell believable stories. There's something I find quite fascinating about tricking people's emotions with, just the visual medium of whatever's on the screen, and motion capture plays a really large part in that. Sometimes you can be looking at a head cam and just see like a particular moment for just half a second and know that that's going to be used, and the director can see it as well.
Thanks for the follow.
It's those exciting moments on set,
and welcome,
and being able to see scenes be birthed from the stage itself. That is why I got into motion capture.
What's interesting about gameplay story and seeing that in the game is an unintrusive way of delivering you small story elements or just bringing more life into the world as you walk around it.
Gameplay story is lots of smaller scenes, not full-blown cutscenes, but also not pure gameplay either.
So that could be walking into a bathroom and overhearing a conversation. The user isn't necessarily triggering per se, or they can do small things to trigger, but at the same time they're happening in the universe as a living, breathing thing.
You and Yuri don't have to give us such a hard time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that someone else I heard moaning about having to recall all the diags last shift?
Yeah, okay. I haven't been the best either, but complaining's one thing. We used to complain about Nolan all the time too. I don't know, I think she could do a good job if we helped.
So I think the reason why motion capture's such a huge benefit for the game, for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, is because we're able to shoot in a very short amount of time huge range of animations. And I think if you look at our database at the moment, we have something like 38,000 animations for this game. And that it's only because we're able to use motion capture to capture data very quickly and deliver that data to the teams very quickly.
So I think a common misconception with motion capture is that we capture all of this data and then it just seamlessly works with the engine. That definitely isn't the case.
After the mocap shoot's finished, I first need to use a wonderful tool the mocap team have written to actually make my selections, which is to choose which takes I actually want and which parts of those takes I want, whether they're going to be recalled and so on and so forth.
This data isn't always necessarily super clean as well, so it's the job of the mocap team to be able to track and retarget that data in order to then deliver it to the animators, who can then do a final pass and get it into game.
So doing pickup shoots is quite a natural part of the process, really. A lot of the original content that we got for Gameplay Story was captured some time ago, and the game has progressed a lot since then, and we just didn't always have answers to questions way back when the stuff was shot.
For example, the other day we were doing pickups for a character who had to usher the player into a vent, and the original data for all of this kind of left that NPC bystanding, not doing a lot, whereas with the pickups that we've done now, she actually has a lot more life, and she actually beckons the player to go in multiple times if the player doesn't decide to do so. It's small things like that that create that believability in the world. It's extremely rewarding to see the finished product after you've done a shoot and it goes into game.
Put a lot of hard work into getting all of the scenes, nearly 250 scenes that have been shot, I don't want to make comparisons to other games, but yeah, I definitely think what we're doing goes far and above what's been done in other games, really, in terms of the immersion, the fact that somebody can be busy doing something and you can go up to them, you can have a conversation, you can break away from that conversation mid-flow, and all the animations match. The people aren't rambling, talking to themselves. The whole scene is believable at the start, the beginning, and the end.
You and Yuri don't have to give us such a hard time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that someone else I heard moaning about having to recall all the diags last shift?
Yeah, okay. I haven't been the best either, but complaining's one thing. We used to complain about Nolan all the time too. I don't know, I think she could do a good job if we helped.
Some people aren't cut out for command. Sink or swim, right?
Sure. But do you have to be the one who drowns her?
Point taken. I'll try.
Thanks. You ever think it's weird how much we still use all these water analogies in the Navy?
All the time. Hey, look who it is.
So what did we learn about this week? Well, we learned that the Talon brings more avian flair to the ever-developing alien Tavaran culture, that the work of motion capture isn't simply done when you just take off the suit, and that the Squadron 42 gameplay story team may work on the smaller elements, but they do add richness and texture to the larger campaign adventure. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you next week.
Oh man, I'm sitting here talking. I am so sorry. I muted my mic. I love watching that stuff come together. For those of you who heard me before, Kimmy, give me your initial thoughts on mocap. And by the way, on the 23rd, we're going to be doing a show. Me and Kimmy and Green Eyed Gal. We're going to go back and look at the footage that was recorded when they did the initial mocap and all the interviews with the stars. It's going to be really a great show on Soul Citizens on Sunday the 23rd. But Kimmy, give me your thoughts on the mocap piece. Uh-oh, did we lose him? Admiral, are you there?
I think so.
Okay, why don't you give me your thoughts while we see what happened with Kimmy? I don't know, we lost him.
I mean, yeah, I think it's great, and they got a lot of hours that they've certainly done. I think there's a lot they haven't shown us. Squadron 42, of course, has been what, 2 years since they've actually given us a really good update. I just thought the conversation there at the end, it was kind of weird. But all you had to do is walk 2 steps, and then they noticed them.
Yeah. I guess you're
So
supposed
maybe
to be
they can
overhearing the
work on that.
conversation. Yeah, I think you're supposed to be just overhearing the conversation. I guess I don't know. I hear what you're saying though. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Does that spoil anything for you to see scenes like that for Squadron 42? Are you comfortable with them, or do you kind of I don't know if I want to see anything? How do you feel about it?
Well, that one's certainly a lot less than that hour show where you practically did an entire mission.
Right.
Rescue that woman.
Right.
But I mean, it's just I understand. I wonder if it was actually more of a filler portion for the episode because it was a little bit out of left field.
Right.
But it's certainly the community wants is to just be updated with stuff and where they're at, and that's
right.
I mean that's what we all want.
And it could have been simply an outtake, right? May not even be in the game, for that matter, right? Yeah. Kimmy, you back? We lost you for a second. I know you can hear us. Are you there? Nope.
Here.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
Admiral, yeah, for some reason I can't hear you guys in the my mic. I don't know. I didn't do anything to it, but yeah, to what Admiral mentioned, that was Chapter 8 of the mission with the rescuing the lady, the other soldier.
Kimmy, forgive me.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little particular about Squadron 42 now. At first, I was a big proponent for all things persisting universe, and I just don't want it to be spoiled because I want that kind of be the cherry on the top of all things that Star Citizen and the persisting universe. With that said, snippets of it here and there I'm okay with, but I'm okay with not even seeing anything at all. But to be fair to the other backers who are true proponents of just Squadron 42, they need something. But at the same time, that's a slippery slope that they have to deliver on in regards to revealing too much and it becoming a prediction of what's to happen in Squadron 42. I think so far they've been doing a good job of keeping it tight-lipped or close to the vest, as you say, where they're not revealing too much. But it from what I see of the visuals, it has a strong potential to be really good, if not at least a good game, not a great or out of the box game. But I think the visuals and the details that Chris is famous for, as we see in the persistent universe, has that great potential to be really, really good in the sense of a fulfilling game that's going to come through with a lot of content. So I'm excited about it, but again, I don't want too much reveal because I want that's my cherry on the top. I want the shock value to add to that enjoyment as well. So, yep.
Okay, awesome. Can you hear
Kimmy,
me?
let me ask you a question. Since Squadron 42 is supposed to have been out to beta the end of this year before the pandemic, do you feel it's going to come out second quarter or of next year?
I would have to agree with that, Admiral. I would say it's pretty much. I would say it's mid 2021. I would say it's around that time. I think we're heading close to the end of the quarter. It's getting really close. Now full game. That's the real question. I think that's when we get a little further into that question granularly. The full game, the full chapter. That's a hard one, right? But I can see them if worst case scenario, they are really behind. They're really behind the 8 ball. Then I could see them doing an elaborate demo of Squadron 42, maybe the first 4 chapters, because there's a lot of content to be revealed. So maybe they can do that. If not,
that's a good idea.
Full chapters, all the chapters, mid 2021, maybe a good portion of those chapters to be released. They would have to come up with something.
Well, time will tell when it comes to Squadron 42, that's for sure. I know that they've tried to start keeping up with the monthly reports. We haven't seen the newly updated timeline, and a lot of folks are waiting for that. So maybe when that pops out, we'll see where they really are in relation to Squadron 42. There's a lot of anticipation. I have mixed feelings about them showing off anything about it. This year would have been CitizenCon. Obviously, for the industry, would have been a good time for them to present some type of actual trailer. And that still could happen. It still could happen. I think to a certain degree, there's a lot of pressure for it to happen. I want the game to be done well, like Kimmy said, but at the same time, I think that if we don't see the beta this year, which we don't think will happen, I think we at least got to see a game trailer, not a vertical slice, but an actual trailer. That is like, even if it's just a 2-minute or 1 minute something, but I think they just got to deliver something before the end of the year in relation to Squadron 42.
100% agree with that. But I guess I don't want to take up you guys' time. You guys, I don't want to be your only guest here tonight. So
no, we appreciate
hopefully somebody else can jump on.
Yep. We're going to encourage more folks, as you guys saw. Admiral, thank you again. You're always supportive, and we appreciate your comments. Anybody else that wants to join in, feel free to click on the Discord link and pop in with us. Got a question, you can come in and give us your thoughts or comments and talk about Star Citizen, just like the Admiral did. He always gives us some good information and shares good comments. Let's go ahead and...
Okay, have a great night.
Okay, buddy, thank you so much.
All right.
Let's go ahead and pop out.
07, Admiral.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, Admiral's a good guy. Whoa, my screen just blew up. Kimmy just got big. He became a giant. Hold on a second here. Sorry, buddy.
Ooh.
I don't know. Tonight is
How did that happen?
Tonight is tech night, brother. We're just. I don't know. I know. I'm just having technical issues tonight.
The CitizenCon Lite. We're doing our version of CitizenCon since we're going to get a virtual one.
Oh my God, that's terrible to think that. Oh God. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump into.
Sorry, Chris. I had to throw you under the bus, man.
Let's jump into SCL for this week. This is we're gonna check this out. I haven't seen it. Kimmy's seen a little bit of it. Let's just dive in.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live, affecting visuals. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take an hour out of our week and bring some developers onto the show, and we take questions from the Star Citizen community and pose them directly to the developers, usually over some manner of video conferencing, especially in our new work-from-home era. Today, we have three members from our esteemed visual effects team on the show. Let's go ahead and introduce them, see who we're talking to today. We'll just go clockwise from the top. Leo, tell us who you are and what you do for Star Citizen.
Hi, I'm Leo. I'm a VFX programmer. So I work in the VFX team. I help the VFX team with producing tools and implementing systems that will drive VFX in the game. I'm mainly focused on the gameplay side of VFX. So when certain effects should trigger, how different systems try to trigger VFX, I provide tools to other programmers to add VFX themselves to their systems and so on. So that's
what are some
short?
What are some of the things that you've worked on personally for Star Citizen, so folks can know what you've touched, what to ask?
I've worked a lot with ship VFX, so thrusters, atmospheric entry, trails, like wing chip vortices and contrails. I've done some work on the weather, like all the wind implementations. It's something I've been working on. And recently I've been working on fire, which is in very early stages, but yeah, it's an ongoing project.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed following along with with the process of it in our sprint reports. It's been a big hit among the community. So I think we're all very excited about the possibilities of fire down the line. Moving immediately clockwise from Leo, Mike. You probably need no introduction at this point, but we're going to do it anyway. Who are you? What do you do for Star Citizen?
I'm Mike, and I'm the VFX director. So I direct and run the VFX team.
Gotcha. So you don't do any real work?
Not really, no. I leave it to these guys.
All right. And you already know who I am, so we'll continue on clockwise. Teo, who are you, and what do you do for Star Citizen?
Hi, I'm Teo, and I do visual effects. I'm a visual effects artist. I generally create particle systems and textures and work with the tools that Leo and the rest of the programmers provide to populate the world and make things like impacts. Recently I worked on the atmospheric entry effects. And yeah, environments, clouds, smoke vents, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Well, this week's show is a generalized question and answer show about VFX. So we will be taking questions live from the Twitch chat during the show. You can submit your questions for consideration by posting them with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That'll help our community management team pull them out from all the other chat and send them on to me. We also, as usual, put up a thread earlier in the week where we allowed folks to post questions in Spectrum and vote up which ones they wanted to see answered most. So we'll go ahead and start with those. Just a general reminder that these are the visual effects teams. So while there are certainly some gameplay elements related to it, like Leo said, and stuff like this, in general, if the question is how do you create weather, we're on board. If the question is, how will weather affect my spaceship when I do this? That's the realm of designers and stuff like that. So again, just as we're cultivating questions, you want to try to stick to the actual effect itself and the creation of the effects that you've seen throughout Star Citizen. So right off the bat, the number one most voted question, we always start with the number one right off the bat. Mike, lots of people want to know how the work on the new Shield VFX are going. We've been talking on and off about new Shield VFX for some time now.
It's been progressing steadily, really. It's going well, I would say. We've recently, I guess, come to the end of our what we call the pre-production side of it. There's been a lot of we've recently started to invest more time in concepting these kind of effects where there's not really any real world reference. So yeah, we've got a guy in our team who does the concepts for VFX, and it's fantastic to have that. So that side of it's done. We've had Simon, our lead VFX programmer, working closely with Caleb, our principal VFX artist, on the pre-production, so actual in-engine code side of things, shaders, looking at the kind of graphics options we've got, kind of slightly wackier ideas as well, stuff that's not necessarily in the concepts, the kind of just ideas that come when you see this kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I would say we're pretty much close to wrapping up the pre-production, which means that we're going straight into the production phase, which is what people care about, because that's where we actually start to make the effects a reality and put them into the game. So yeah, going well.
Now, the pre-production phases often vary in length. Some pre-production phases are only a week or two. You hit something real fast, and some pre-production phases take quite a bit of time, like this one has. Was some of that due to waiting for various SDF tech coming online?
Yeah, very much so. So we knew from quite an early stage, really. I know that the backers have been aware of this for a long time, that the SDF, the signed distance field, we knew that we were going to be using them to generate these effects and to have the effects kind of driven by the SDFs. So we knew there was a lot of work that was upstream. We sort of used terms upstream and downstream. We're one of those teams that are downstream from other teams. So we knew there was a lot of work that was going on with the vehicle teams and the physics teams that was necessary in order for these SDFs to become a reality. So yeah, that was a large part of it. That was not really why anything was delayed, but that was what we needed to be able to have in for us to do our thing as well. So yeah.
Okay. So the next the next most popular question had to do with Planetary Clouds. So my question for you, I'm going to rephrase it first before we go into it. Are Planetary Clouds a VFX thing at all?
No. Well, the actual creation of the clouds is not our domain. The work that we do, similar to what I've just said with signed distance fields, I guess, the work that we do will come in when those clouds that are kind of the domain of the core engineering team, really. Once that side of things is there, then that's where we come in, and we'll start to care about the rain that comes from the clouds, the lightning, and all them kind of things, and probably like the interaction of the player within that cloud as well. That will probably be something that certainly Leo would be involved with, I think. But the actual creation, the physical creation of that cloud is not our domain. No.
Gotcha. So it's like props on a set dressing. Another team will create the tech that develops it, and then you guys will come in and dress it up and make it look
exactly
make it look the way this should. All right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're involved in the process. Like we collaborate with the people who are actually implementing the tech. So like I've got good visibility on what it is that we're doing for it. But yeah, we don't actually make the thing.
Okay. Well, I know it's a popular hot button topic with the community, as we've seen in multiple question threads. So what I can offer to the community right now is that when the appropriate time comes, we will have a feature on the creation of planetary clouds, volumetric clouds, and all that stuff as soon as it's ready, at a point that's ready to talk about and show you. So I can't tell you when that's going to be. It's when it's ready. Moving on, we do have a number of weather effects in the game today. What can you tell us about what's next?
Well, yeah, I mean, so it kind of does depend on what we've just spoken about with the clouds themselves. We're obviously going to be anything that you imagine would be happening is going to happen. So we're going to have rain. We need to have that. One thing that I'm more interested in.
What were you saying, buddy? Oh, he says about rain. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay.
We need that rain.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, God.
Welcome.
I'm sorry.
And providing some visual breakup for folks who quantum travel quite a lot.
Yeah, so for sure, you kind of nailed it there. I think there's a bit of visual fatigue that comes in when it's one of the earlier effects that people just see a lot. Like, I've seen that quantum travel effect a few times myself. And yeah, we use the term
But
rot. Like
Janeer,
some
thank you for
things
the
rot over
follow.
time. It's just that the tech that's driving the effects might have changed. So certainly with quantum travel, there have been fundamental changes to the back end work. Like what is the engine doing with that actual process of quantum traveling, which does change how the effects are behaving. So I won't say they're broken, but they definitely don't look like they used to, and the timings get changed as well. So from a design point of view, it's really important that they care about like the spool up time, and they care about all those kind of hooks that we then use to drive the effects. So I guess what I'm saying is we're aware that they are due an update, and that is planned and scheduled. And actually, our VFX concept artist Rob, I think next week, in fact, I think that's his next task. He's going to be jumping onto concepting the quantum travel. We've got some really good information from people like Nate, the Squadron 42 art director, and Hannes, the cinematics director. So those guys have got a really clear idea of what they want. So we're going to use that. We're going to sort of feed that into our concepts. To address your point about actual kind of like the more dynamic element of it and variables and things changing, I think absolutely that's something that we always look to do with our effects. I've talked in the past about emitter strength, so particles have like a strength curve, and Leo can probably elaborate on this, but we can actually use that strength curve to we can map that to other variables. So if let's just say the quantum drive was getting damaged, we could actually visually reflect that. We could show a much more chaotic looking effect. So yeah, there's all kinds of things that we could do with that, and that we would like to do as well.
Those also some possibilities of using the SDF tech. When I was exploring the look of the Atmo entry, I also tried it with what a QT effect might look like, and there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of really cool dynamic things we could do with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, for like a tech point of view, it was a while ago like implemented the QT effects, and one of the limitations we have right now is that the effects are set up on the ships. So if you change your quantum drive, the effects will remain the same. One of the things I'd like to do at some point is move that. We don't have those limitations anymore. So like with a few changes to the system in the back end, we could actually implement per drive effects rather than per ship effects, which I think is also one of the things that people have been mentioning.
So somebody could take the quantum drive from like an alien ship, like the Scout has a very different quantum effect, and bring it over to a Miss ship or an Aegis ship, and put it in there and get the change in effect, kind of thing.
If the design of those quantum drives allows that, of course. But that would
something we'd like to pursue.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And as you mentioned the different styles as well. Obviously, the most common one is the default, as we call it, the kind of the streaky blue one. But yeah, we've got different visual styles for different alien races. So we can, and we've always talked about like having high and low tech variables as well. So maybe a cheaper drive would look different. It's a bit like putting a nasty old big exhaust pipe on your car compared to something high end. We like to be able to reflect that visually as well.
Right. So it sounds like the first step towards doing that is untying it from the ship and tying it more to the actual quantum drive item itself. Now that we can see other ships on re-entry, what are your thoughts on meteor showers?
I'm going to let Teo take this one. Take it away, Teo.
Well, I have tested this, and it is on the VFX side, obviously completely possible. It would just depend on the design requirements, perhaps story elements in Squadron, things like that. But it is on our side, it's possible, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine it's one of those things that's easy to make it look cool from a distance, but then you have to figure out the gameplay implications of what if somebody goes to that meteor shower and flies to that. Now there's it's more than just looking cool. Now there has to be gameplay implications to it.
Yeah.
And that's a much more complicated conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, in a normal game you can use meteor showers as like a backdrop, but for us we can actually, like, how do you spawn a meteorite in the sky? Like, where does it come from? Will it just like pop in existence, or like
that's a great point, Leo. That's the challenge there. It's like that thing's got to come from somewhere at some point. So
Yeah.
Where it can't is it hidden behind is it in a gas cloud? Is it hidden? There's always a possibility that someone could be at that place where the thing spawns.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's quite a unique challenge to our game.
NPCs in games have monster closets. Are there such things as meteor closets where they can spawn and come from? And again, they have to be visible from like every angle, because you can't control where the player is going to be when they see it. So
yeah,
lots of interesting challenges there. But
if you want to see how it looks, just get a couple of friends to all come down more or less at the same time at the same speed on a planet, and then that's kind of how it'll look.
Cool. How do you guys anticipate the switch to Vulkan will affect your work?
Well, for me, again, Leo, you can probably provide a more technical answer to this. But for me, in theory, aside from the fact that there's kind of time out of the schedule for the programmers to do their work, it won't really make a huge difference to the likes of me and Tio. We'll get like big performance benefits in the game from it. So I guess we can throw more particles at things, which is always a good thing for me. But yeah, it's not like going to make a fundamental change to how we work or anything like that.
Yeah, for me personally, at least, I think it won't make much of a big difference, because it's not really the code I work in that much. It's more Simon, our lead, who will be doing most of the work there. But yeah, it will be quite a big chunk of time to get it all working and tested, and it's quite exciting, because I think it will allow for some more particles and better features, and
It wouldn't be a VFX show without a question about gas clouds. So, Mike, where are we at with the gas clouds? How are they coming along?
They're coming along well. I mean, I guess it's similar to the Shields topic. That it's long been talked about and shown, and the backers will, our very patient backers will have seen lots and lots of updates on the gas clouds. We still have weekly syncs with all the people that are involved in it. It's I would say it's going well. Like earlier on with the gas cloud work, we were kind of more focused, I guess, on Squadron in particular. But we've more recently, at least this year, been discussing options with the PU team as well. So there's lots of nice looking gas clouds for Lagrange points. The actual tech itself, again, that's more of a graphics thing, and that is pretty much the tech itself, the gas clouds. That's pretty much all, in a good state and looking pretty solid. There's we've started to do a lot more thorough testing in terms of, like, let's get a gas cloud in an area, let's get loads of ships in there, let's have dogfights, let's get bigger ships in there, and let's really try and break this thing. There's lots of work that comes from that, just more boring stuff, but like bug fixes and lots of things that we didn't really anticipate previously. From our point of view, like the actual, I guess, things like the different space loop effects, that we want to have themes to the gas cloud. So we want a designer to be able to take a gas cloud that the artist has made, and we want to be able to just have that same gas cloud, if you placed it 5 times in a row, be able to change all the properties so that it actually looks and behaves in a different way, and the experience inside that is different, in each of those variants of that same thing. So all those kind of loose ends that we're trying to tie up, I guess, we want to make sure design is as far ahead as the art, so the whole kind of thing syncs, and then that's when we're going to feel confident about putting it in there and letting people see it for themselves.
So much of what you mentioned so much of what you do depends on the work of others. Making a video game is a collaborative effort between multiple teams, but with VFX is absolutely no exception. It's you've got to work with the engine team in order to get you the underlying tech you need before you can color something. If anything you do is going to be emissive, and a lot of VFX are, you got to work with the lighting team to figure out how that's going to affect dynamic lighting. Of course, if you want these things to actually have knock-on effects and stuff. I think there's actually a question. We'll get to this next one about explosions actually being physicalized in the world and having knock-ons. You got to get with gameplay design and stuff like that. It's definitely a collaborative process.
Hugely, yeah.
Well, let's see what we can do touching on that one right there. Explosions. Has there been any talk about making explosions have area of effect? Damage, detonations?
Absolutely, 100% yes. Yeah, absolutely. The physics team and I forget the name, but basically of the team, but like Rich Tyra, everyone will be familiar with Rich Tyra.
Actor feature team.
Yep. So there's a lot of work that those guys have been doing, and I'm sure we've been showing it and updating the backers about it regarding like physical reactions, like impulses. So yeah, an explosion should if you happen to be standing, say someone fires a grenade from a grenade launcher. I'm looking at you, Tio, and that explosion happens over there. Absolutely, it should knock the player kind of sideways and stumble, and that's all kind of planned, and a lot of that work is very far ahead as well.
They'll actually see that on ISC in about 2 or 3 weeks, depending on B-roll availability. So
there you go.
That's actually when it's going. That's you're talking about force reactions and the ability of transferring those physics from the things that create them onto the players. And coming later this month, maybe at the beginning of next month. It all depends on when the visuals are ready, people. People are always like, why don't you talk about this or why don't you talk about that? It's like, we're waiting on the visuals. You want to see it, don't you? I don't know what that voice was I did either. We're just going to move on. Let's go to the live chat here for some questions. Right off the bat, what special effects have you had the most problems with? What's been your big problem effect?
Oh God! Let someone else go. Let someone.
What's been your El Guapo? What's been the thing that's just driven you crazy?
Right.
I mean,
some of those view effects perhaps that have been around in the environments mostly, in like Lorville and Area 18.
I think for me, you probably sympathise with this tier, but I think for me one of the problem effects is smoke from a barrel of a gun, which sounds like a really simple thing to do, but that's really, really tricky to get looking good. 2 reasons is the lighting model of our particle system at the moment is it's not fully PBR, so it's not quite like accurate in real world terms. So again, with our game, you have to make sure that your effect looks right in daylight. You have to make sure it looks right at nighttime, up in space where the glare of the sun is intense. So what we end up doing is you want a kind of a nice subtle smoke emission from the barrel, and you always get this from the art and designers working on weapons. Oh, hey, could you just get us a little bit of smoke coming out the barrel? And the problem is that you do that and it looks great, but then you see someone firing it in space and it's super bright. It's like, oh God, it looks really bad. So now I've got to tone it right down. And then I've toned it right down. So then I get people saying, no, I can't see any smoke coming out of my gun. So it's really tricky in that sense. And also another side of that, I don't know if this is boring or interesting, but another one is the fact that you can move around really quickly. So you have to have this, like the particle count. Obviously we can't spawn too many particles, even with the GPU system. We can't spawn too many, so you get this problem where if the smoke is emitting from the gun while the player's moving it around, you just get these little blobs like boof, 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 boof of smoke, and that kind of breaks the immersion. That doesn't really look good. So just a kind of really minor type of effect, I guess, in the scheme of things, but that's a really tricky one. That always causes me headaches. Yeah.
How about you, Leo?
Well, the past year, I think like atmospheric entry has been kind of a headache as well, just in the sense that we had some trouble of like figuring out when to spawn the effects. Our ships don't really fly fast enough to physically physically accurately spawn the effect when it should, like in real life. So we have to kind of fake it because it's a really cool effect. But yeah, it's kind of we've had a lot of back and forth between different teams about what we can do to change change the experience or change the calculations. It's for me it's I guess a bit more of a technical point of view, not really like visual, but yeah.
John Crew, you can send your letters to Leo, care of Fat Imperium Games UK. Manchester. I'm just kidding. So, you spoke of the reentry effects. One of the questions we got here when we were showing the development of that on the sprint report, at one point there was a hull shader that would make the hull a heat shader for the hull that would make the hull glow if you were doing a bad atmospheric reentry. Is that happening still? Is that off the table? What happened to that? Was that just R&D?
Before you answer, I wasn't going to mention it, but one of the things that is difficult based on the previous answer is putting making sure the effect, the reason for the effect is understood and seen, and on the atmospheric entry effect, that Leo and I worked on. Yeah, that glow is a big part of that.
You leaving it for me to answer then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is still planned. That's the short answer. It's not. We certainly sort of R&D'd it and we showed it. We haven't taken it off the table. We're definitely planning on doing it when we can. The issue there is that again, I'm probably just going to be repeating myself a lot, but it's the collaboration. It's not something that we as a VFX team can implement. That needs to be. We need to get like time from the graphics team, so Ali and his team, to actually work on the shader itself. We then need to collaborate with the ship people. So you mentioned John Crew. So John's been in conversations about this. It's just getting everyone together at the same time to be able to, make sure that all priorities are aligned to actually be able to do that. So definitely still planned. I can't commit to when, but it's certainly on the table. And we're also going to be needing something similar for the fire propagation as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, priorities can be the easy answer to almost every when question with regards to video game development. It's just a question of it's always a question. In the simplest forms, we'd always like to do it. We'd always love to do it. We'd always love to pursue it. It's just a question of with everything else that we're trying to do, and even with as many folks as we have and as many studios around the world, there are still a finite number of resources. So you have to always direct your efforts towards the things that any given individual can work on. Priorities are often the course there.
It will be needed for the fire propagation stuff.
Anyway. So the reason why it didn't really work was that we have the glow on the ship itself with the damage map. So if you shoot the ship, you get like the glowing parts. So we could use that for making the ship glow, but all the items attached, such as the landing gear, the glass, the doors, even they didn't glow with it, and it's basically we need the same kind of glow tech on all those other objects. And so one of the things we're requesting now from the graphics team is kind of like a more generic glow shader, so that we can use that same shader on the material for fire. So if an object is hot enough for it to glow, then we can use that same kind of system to make an object glow. And so it's going to be probably a while, but it's going to be like something used for different systems as well, which is nice.
So you brought up fire propagation. So let's get into that. We've been showcasing that on our biweekly sprint reports for some time now. I personally find it very, very interesting, which is why I include it. And then luckily the community has agreed.
before they talk about fire, I want to put a question out to the community. They were talking about this shader and talking about this glow that when you're doing reentry, you can actually see physically the metal or the resource on the ship starting to glow. My question to you guys is that something that you really care about? Do you think it adds to the gameplay or immersion, or is it one of those things you say, why are they wasting their time on that? I have no preference to the answer. I'm just curious as to what you guys think. And I'll let them go ahead and talk about fire a little bit.
Why is the entity to voxel propagation important and necessary? And beyond that, what are the next steps? Like, when do we start updating the fire effect itself?
Black Intellect, thank you for the host. Always
and then the question that actually came from the chat was, will it change color based on fuel? Like, basically, how far do we intend to take this? Let's just make it a simple question and go from there.
All right, so we prepared a little demo for the fire propagation, so I can go through the demo
Sure.
and answer some of those.
A lot of the questions. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to do a screen share?
Yep. Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen.
All right, so we got everyone's favorite ship, the 600i. Maybe not, but
yes,
we're going to set
600i.
it on
Yes,
fire.
yes.
John Crew, you can send your letters to Leo, care of Cloud Imperium Games UK, Winslow. Go ahead.
So we are going to base our fire on voxels, so you can see the square.
fanboy.
I can put a debug on with like this. I don't know if like you can see the green edges, but like those are all voxels with material properties.
Mm-hmm.
So in those voxels, we are kind of going to bake the environment, and in the environment we have material properties. So for example, plastic, the material properties, this is all prototype work, so nothing is final. A lot of tweaking and balancing and setup still needs to be done for all of this to kind of be implemented. But for now, this, for example, says plastic. So in plastic, we have all of these properties which will affect fire. In here, we have wood, dense, and plastic combined. For example, here we have fabric as well. So all of these have these kind of properties. They're physically based. So we're going to start with a physically based propagation system and see how far we can get with that. And then we have an entity as well. So what's the difference between an entity and a voxel? Basically, a lot of environment in our game is static. It will never move, and we have a lot of those kind of static objects, and it's mainly for performance reasons. We can't keep track of the fire state in all of those objects. For example, here in this voxel, we have all of these dirty pillows. They like we can't really set each pillow.
Leo, why?
Set the dirty pillows on fire, Leo.
Yeah, we can't set them all separately on fire, so we kind of average out all of these properties inside a voxel. So for example, if I change the physics, so I set the physics on, you'll see this the stool was falling because it's a dynamic entity and it can move in game, while the plant pot, it will remain hovering over the table while it's just static. It does have like static physics, but it doesn't have any dynamic physics or anything. So we can be sure it will always be in the same place. So we can set these voxels on fire, and we have different effects as well. So if I set this voxel on fire, we'll have the kind of generic effect that most properties will have, most materials will have. But we can also, for example, this one has fabric, which is a different material and a different effect as well. So we'll have a more kind of low effect compared to the high flames from the generic one. And
these are work in progress, so I'm still working on them. They'll look more distinct than that.
Yeah, right. Definitely. So all the visuals you see here, they're temporary for the prototype. They're definitely not final. We also got like this one, and I set the vegetation.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know if
appreciate
it's
him burning up
very
to 600
well
die.
visible with the quality of themes, but this one has like ash things floating up the flames, so you kind of can see like the ash. So all of these we can
bits,
also
yeah.
do electrical fires and whatever. And in the meantime, you see that this fire is kind of getting out of control.
Spreading around.
It's spreading around. We also have a fog volume, so you see that the room is getting a bit foggy because of all the smoke being released by the fire. This is something we'll also add, so this will be based on the atmosphere of your room. So if there's lots of smoke or toxic gases, your room will start fogging up to kind of add to the visuals.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reset this to kind of make it doable again. So how do we propagate? So we got some quite fast propagation here in this area. We have a few ways of propagating the fire. So the first one is, let's go for radiation. Radiation is basically your object shoots ray of energy kind of things to nearby objects. So it will kind of heat up by radiation. This is not the most effective way of heating up an object, but it's kind of simulated anyway.
Think infrared, and not nuclear radiation.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, good point.
Different way of thinking.
We also have convection, and this is basically the way. So you heat up the air, and the air starts kind of moving around in your room. We won't do like full fluid simulation for this, but we will try and add in gravity in there, so that if you have a low gravity, then the convection won't be as strong, while if you have a high gravity, then there will be more and more convection. We'll also try to model in wind, so that the wind direction of your fire affects the propagation, indeed.
This is important actually for visuals. Sorry to cut you off there, because the particles will follow forces like wind and gravity. So you would expect flames going up a wall, for example, to then
I think you're right.
have more of those
about
voxels
this, but they're adding so much more to the physics of it with the fire.
Yes, for example, if we set a voxel on fire near a wall, if I can find one, then there should be more propagation upwards rather than around it. And the last type of propagation is damage. So if we heat up an object, and this will be based on the material type as well, so it will not all material types will do this kind of behavior.
Yeah, it'll
but,
definitely give other players
it is
something to do,
possible for
engineers
that
and other
object
people on the ship.
Have a chance to ignite.
We talked a little bit about
when it
this
receives damage.
last week. If you've got a minimum crew and a fire breaks
this
out,
kind
your
of
gunners
allows
have
us
to give up
to
defending
model
the
a
ship in
more
order to put out a fire.
random fire behavior, while the convection and the radiation is really, it's deterministic. It's always the same. It will go up with gravity, with certain wind direction. The radiation is always like based on the strength. It will always go like just around. So the damage gives a little bit of randomness.
Very cool.
And then was
That's a
one
pretty
more thing I
serious
wanted to
fire.
show here. So with the entities and voxels. So for example, if I set this voxel on fire and I move this brush, this static brush, the fire doesn't move because everything is baked into this voxel. While if I set this dynamic entity on fire, we can move it and the fire will move with it. And what this means is that you can kind of set fire around here just because this tool is on fire.
I never get tired of seeing this.
It's really cool to play around with, to be honest. Yeah.
That is very cool, Leo. Thank you for taking the time to show this.
I've got some more if we have time, I think.
Sure. What you got?
Got a rolling barrel. Keeping the best for last. If we ignite it and we enable physics, the barrel will start rolling. And we can keep track. Oh, this is like a made in Britain extinguisher. So,
Touché.
If we track this voxel, then we see we can track the temperature of this voxel, and if it goes above the yellow line, it will go into the smoke temperature, so it will start smoking, and that means that the voxel can also start to catch on fire. So in here you see this, just like it spiked up. That's because it went into the fire range of the temperature, and this voxel caught on fire, basically. And we have this for all these voxels around it, so the temperature will go up, they will start smoking. And when is this important? It's going to be important if we want to start extinguishing. So our extinguisher, it's, not working very well, but we got a debug extinguishing feature, which we can use. Let's speed this up a little bit so I can speed up the propagation. Oh,
this is fine.
A lot. This is fine.
This is fine.
And then I can start extinguishing, and hopefully you'll see the fire to die down where I extinguish. So basically what you need to do is make sure that there is no more smoke anywhere. Okay, maybe this was a bit too much.
You can reset it.
You know, I just realized that I'm flying on a 600 and they're setting it on fire.
Yeah, control, Leo.
Fine, guys. Worry about it.
Well, we finally answered the age-old question from Billy Joel. It was Leo.
Yeah, so extinguishing works in a few different ways as well. So we, because we go physically based, we can kind of
yeah, Waffles, you're right.
Use the fire triangle,
Man, look at that fire, though. That thing is
which is used by firefighters. Basically, if you take away one of the oxygen, fuel, or what was the other?
It's fuel.
Oxygen.
That's
and
true. It's not down here, up here in the bar. You're right, Admiral.
What?
Temperature.
Heat. I think it's temperature, it's fuel, and it's materials. I think. Although materials is kind of fuel, isn't it?
Yeah. Let me. I'm
I don't
completely blacking out here.
It's okay.
See, these are the other variables that they're dealing with, though. They are dealing with. They are dealing with.
So
things
basically,
like,
what we do is we take away the heat inside
gravity,
this
physics, oxygen.
Inside
There's a whole lot
this
of
sphere
elements
that you see
putting
here,
in the fire
this
that a lot of
debug
other
sphere.
games don't
We also
do.
take away the oxygen so that the fire kind of dies down, and then by taking away the heat, we are able to kind of make the temperature go below the smoke temperature, and that will make sure it won't be able to kind of reignite and catch on fire. We also track fuel, so if that specific voxel or object doesn't have any mass anymore to burn, it will die down on its own. And of course, like later down the line, if we kind of decompress a ship, then your fire will be gone as well.
Cool.
So yeah, I guess this is my demo, completely running
I
out
can't
of
wait
control.
to put this in the game.
But thank you so much.
As designed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can stop the screen share. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Oh, where's my picture? There we go. People saw the wonderful outside of the apartment there for a few seconds. That's great. One of the follow-up questions that I know a lot of folks had in the chat there. Have you considered zero G and how any of this is going to work in zero G?
We're all nodding.
Yeah. I explained a little bit that convection will play into convection, which is the only way zero G will affect fire and propagation. But Theo will explain a little bit with visuals, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of propagation, it makes sense, right?
Hey, we just had J2 pop in. What's up, J2? Are you there? I hope he's there. We can't hear you if you are.
Oh, am I here? I am
there
here.
He is. Hey, it's J2 from Vector 27. How you doing, man?
I am okay. I didn't mean to jump in.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you just decided to just pop in for no reason. Well, what do you think about the fire thing before you go? I won't keep you, but what do you think about the fire thing?
I love the fire thing. Fire is awesome. Fire is fantastic. It's gonna, it's visually appealing. It looks cool. It adds some drama and a sense of what's the word? Urgency to whatever we're doing in game. If there's a fire on board, you got to take care of that.
Yeah.
Got to take care of it quick. But this particular episode of Star Citizen Live, not really my thing. I mean, it is, but I'm currently more interested in game systems and the background tech and the stuff that's going to make the game work, rather than the visual effects. The game is already stunning by so many comparisons. It's it's just a gorgeous looking game in every respect. Right. So making it prettier now, that's just that's just icing on the cake, and we need more cake before we need icing.
Don't go anywhere, J2. Astropub, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. All of you folks coming over from Astropub, welcome to Friday Night Live with Soul Citizens live show, where you can join our Discord just like J2 did by accident. And you can talk to us about Star Citizen. And Astropub, I saw you, Paul. I saw you said you guys were talking about the subject as well. So that's great. And Kimmy's back, so that's a good thing too. I'm glad to have my buddy Kimmy back. J2, let me ask you this. Do you think that this is going to be enough to make people think about how to crew their ships now? Because previously, a lot of people, when they've looked at ships, they looked at what's the minimum. Thank you, Waffles and Biscuits, for the subscription. And there was someone else who subscribed earlier, too. The Miker. Thank you, Miker, for your subscription as well via Prime, Amazon Prime. My question is, do you think this is going to make people stop looking at minimum requirements for ships, J2? Do you think they're going to start saying, well, man, let me give you a ship for example. Let's say a Carrack, right? You've got maybe 3 or 4 gunners. You've got a pilot and a co-pilot, maybe an engineer, right? And I said this earlier when the video was running. What happens when a fire breaks out in the middle of battle? Will you have to have one of your gunners leave his position to go put out that fire with the engineer? I mean, or will you keep extra people on board of your ship to kind of handle things like that? Parzival, well, hey, buddy, good to see you. Thank you for the follow. J2, what do you think?
Well, honestly, this is something that I've thought about in the past, mainly with respects to my Hammerhead. I really like that ship. I really want to man it regularly with a full crew. And you're absolutely right. Thinking about how many crew members we need there is a big thing. Currently it's tough to even get 7 or 8 people together to fully man a Hammerhead. So when you start talking about adding things like another person, like an engineer, things like that, it's definitely something to keep in mind. With me personally, I'm thinking, all right, which one of my turret gunners is least important that I can tell him, hey, get the hell out of your turret and go put out that fire, or 2 turret gunners, get the hell out of your turrets and go repel those boarders. Stuff like that is stuff that I've always had in mind, but I think a lot of people don't. It's particularly people who are solo manning their Carracks and then whining that their Carracks don't have any forward-facing firepower. Right. It's not a ship that's meant to be flown by one person. Right. You don't get forward guns on a Carrack.
Yep, absolutely.
But yes, absolutely. The whole the whole thing of multi-crew gameplay is something that we've all, I think, really expected a lot from when it comes to Star Citizen. It's something we've been waiting on for a long time.
Yeah. Kimmy's shaking his
So
head.
yeah, any of this stuff that brings us in there and gets us playing together and crewing one ship is definitely a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Kimmy, you got some thoughts on that, buddy? I saw you shaking your head and smiling when he said multi-crew gameplay. Uh-oh, did we lose him again? Oh, yeah. I think we got a delay on him. I'm not sure if he's hearing. Kimmy, can you hear us? Wave if you hear us. Oh, I don't think he hears us. Okay. Well, anyway, J2, to your point, I think that is going to make people rethink when they're manning these ships. I'm concerned about this whole fire thing with internal damage because so far we've been just dealing with external damage. I'm really curious to see how, because I think they even referred to last week about fire extinguishers. We've talked about this before, J2. Chris doesn't put stuff in the game if it doesn't mean he's going to use it in some form, right? And we've seen fire extinguishers sitting all over the place in the universe. Very easily, we could see that we're going to have to start using fire extinguishers. Do you think?
As long as we don't see Smokey the Bear.
Oh, he's back. Okay, good. Yeah, Smokey the Bear. Give us your thoughts, Kimmy. What do you think about this? Manning and the fire and everything on ships with crewing.
I'm going to be very transparent with you, with chat, and what I was feeling internally with this effect, this new tech that's coming online. I'm like, at first, it was like, I was kind of borderline angry because I'm like, Sig, why are you pushing fire? Why are we keeping about fire? And so the initial thing was, yeah, I can see that in the Squadron 42 chapter or episode where the ship gets attacked and then you're trying to save crew members. That's your job to abate the fire. But then just tonight, it came to me, and it makes sense when you guys look out there, according to the star maps, and look at the areas that are that have planets that are close to the sun, and the fact that according to lore, according to the star maps, there's very valuable minables there on these planets and things to find. And so I'm kind of looking at, like, for example, with Pyro, there's some planets that are very close to the sun. And so I'm kind of thinking of, would it be really good gameplay when you're talking about dangling a character with generals to this planet that's extremely hot. You get close enough, you land on that planet, and so at some point, I want it to be a trolling thing where heat starts to consume the ship, but think of it as a means to this. Well, you got to get in and get out quick, and maybe with the proper gameplay mechanic, the shields will hold back the fire. At the same time, there's a timetable where the shield generation strength will succumb to the heat, and so with that timetable, it gives you enough time to get out there, get some valuables, and then come back. But then for us who are greedy, we'll play that to the hilt, and then right there at the window where all of a sudden your ship is so hot and trying to get lift off from that planet, then you're talking about the fire happening, and then you're already leaving the planet. It's basically an autopilot. You get out of the seat and then you start fighting these fires. But that kind of made me think of this. The fact that we have planets that are so close to the sort of kind of those explorers or opportunists to make that kind of money, blue guys and gals in the game, we're going to go for that. It would be some very cool and interesting gameplay in that aspect of fire.
I think you're muted, Griff.
Thank you, buddy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What happens if when those fires do happen? will they create damage to other things that are nearby or associated? So if your shield generator catches fire, will it now end up affecting life support? You know, if you, like as you said, if that fire continues to burn, right? Because they're showing this fire propagates, it moves, right? It doesn't just sit in one spot. So there's all these variables that you're going to have to start thinking about that makes flying, you know, especially being a commander on a ship. Because I think right now, the most the commander does is tell somebody, head to this location, and that's about it, right? Maybe tell somebody when to attack. But now you've got to start thinking about ship management. You got to start thinking about who's on your ship, who's capable, what skills they have. Who is that person, like J2 said, who you can call on and say, leave that gun, because I also know that person knows how to go out and deal with a fire. You know, where somebody else is in the gun, you say, hey, go put out that fire. I've never put out a fire before. You know what I mean? Now you're in a whole different box. So it's going to be interesting to see how this adds to gameplay. I agree 100% on that. Yeah, let's pick back up on the video here.
You know, with the VX team, with the VX team, they are so excited. I'm sure, and they're ready to have some fun when they're talking about adding that effect to combustibles like quantanium or fuel on your ship.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Blow them all to hell.
Definitely. See if we can get it going here. Our video is not rolling. Hold on one second, gang. Oh, wait a minute. Where are we at here? We're just wrapping up fire. Here we go.
We're all nodding.
Yeah. I explained a little bit that convection will play into convection, which is the only way zero-G will affect fire and propagation. But Theo will explain a little bit at the visuals, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of propagation, it makes sense, right? Zero-G, there's no there's nothing pushing the fire up or sideways with wind or anything like that, so it radiates everything. The difficulty with zero-G fire is the visuals, obviously, because gases behave differently in zero gravity. So it's something I think about a lot.
Keeps you up at night.
Keeps me up at night, and it's yeah, it's next on the list for me to take a look at, along with different visual styles for surface types for different types of fuel. That kind of plays into it almost, because it might need its own look.
Right. Yeah. Now, fire in zero-G, it tends to be, from the reference I've seen, like almost globulous. It's weird. Yeah. It's very weird.
So we could do that, but then would that look cool? And is that what we expect?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, like with all things, you take it to the point of realism, then you bring it back to the point of fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, we've got 15 minutes left. What else we got? Missile effects. Mike, are you happy with the current missile effects? Because they kind of seem like crap.
I'm not happy with. No, I'm not happy with them, and I intend to improve them. I'm actually working on them myself at the moment. Sort of, I guess, in between official duties, I'm kind of tweaking the effects, and I think I've shown in a couple of the update meetings that I've already got some improvements to them. Just things like making them last longer, so increasing the life, and that helps readability. Just making the flares more visible from a distance, pushing out the actual thrust effects themselves. Just kind of minor tweaks. Again, similar to the quantum travel conversation. The missile trails are a much older effect. Possibly some of the first I worked on back in the day. But yeah, long story short, definitely planning on improving them. Already made some work on it. We're also holding out for some graphics some VFX particle system improvements as well, like for ribbons on the GPU system, for example, which will allow us to get kind of a bit more efficient with the trails as well. So yeah, going to improve them, definitely.
And those will go along other improvements to missiles in general being worked on by like the vehicle experience team and stuff, because missiles in general are come and due for for an overhaul, and you'll of course be hearing more about that as it continues on. Somebody was asking, "Where's Pico?" He's right here. Think I'd be.
Is he flammable?
We're not going to find out.
People on the website
This
says
is the only
sold
one in
out
existence.
now. It doesn't say
this was the
back ordered
manufacturer
anymore.
prototype.
It says
This is literally the
sold
only
out.
one that is out in the world right now. So we're not going to find out if it's flammable.
I need some reference footage.
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Let's see. What else do we got here? We've seen what looks like cherry blossom trees in Horizon. Does the thought of them dropping leaves excite or terrify you?
For me, both. Yeah, it's terrifying in the sense that it's like more dynamic effects, but it's exciting because that's a real nice having leaves falling from a tree and getting blown around by the wind. And Ian, the art director, he wants Horizon to have that kind of feel to it, like a sort of a gentle breeze. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting actually. I'm only really joking when I say it's terrifying. But I seem to vaguely remember. I think I half jokingly said to Chris in one of the updates that if we knew the amount of leaves on a tree, we could actually directly. Leo's laughing already, but we could directly drive like the amount of leaf particles that fall from the tree. But I mean,
and that's why we call you part of the problem, Mike.
It's an option. It's there, you know. But then
from the geometry as well. So.
Yeah. But then all the leaves would have to grow back. Otherwise, we just end up with no leaves on the trees at some point in the game. So it's probably not the best idea I've had.
Weather, so maybe we can do seasons as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. In future.
They decided
in a
to
be determined patch.
Yeah.
Right along with missile effects, let's move on to thruster effects.
Same kind of question, I guess. Yeah, I mean the answer's the same. Like, I mean, thruster effects were the things I was most passionate about for a while when I joined CIG, because I absolutely loved the thing about VFX is like it's quite. In the old days of being a VFX artist, there was this conception, and it was the case in sort of more earlier games. The VFX artist just made a pretty looking effect, like a flame, and they just placed it in the level, or it came from a weapon. As you just saw with Leo's demonstration of fire propagation, there's a hell of a lot of data that drives the effects these days. Thrusters always, I really liked thrusters because it was a similar kind of thing. It was fairly simple. It was like the thrust input, so the actual value from the ship was driving the strength curve of the particle. So you could do some really nice things with it. It's progressed over time. So we as well as thrust input, and Leo, was very much involved in the functionality side of this. We got overheating, we got damage, we got misfires, we got boost, we got shock diamonds when you're in atmosphere that you don't see them when you're not in atmosphere. There's a lot of ships in our game as well, so there's a lot of thrusters that need to get made. We're constantly improving the GPU particle system, so naturally some of the older effects don't look as good as other ones. We've actually just finished work on the 100 eyes thrusters. Yeah, and we just showed that. Yeah. So we just showed that in a PU update, and I'm happy to say that
He's talking about an internal update, guys.
Yeah, sorry, an internal team update. Chris loved them, and Ian commented as well. Like he thought they were the best ones we've done. So I was really happy for Jacob, the artist who made them. So yeah, it's just one of them things where we've got so many moving parts. We can't really press the pause button on the machine that the beast that is Star Citizen. So we just got to try and keep up, and we just need to find a bit of time to just look at all of the effects kind of collectively and just work on improvements that we can do across the board. I have been doing that again, similar to with the missiles. I've been working on the Gladius thruster effects. It's my favorite ship. Obviously it's important for Squadron 42, so I've been looking at what do I need to do to make the Gladius effects tick all the boxes. That Chris has got really really clear ideas on how how they need to be improved, like general visibility, maneuvering thrusters in particular. I know that's a common thing that comes up. Like maneuvering thrusters are a bit too small. You can't see them. We've maybe been a bit too aggressive with the lodding of them. So lots of work is being done with that. I'm personally involved. So yeah, make them better. We'll try.
And for the folks asking, yes, you will see them when the time is right.
When the time is right.
With things like weather and temperature affecting more and more things planetside, have there been any consideration for things like heat wave or shimmer effects?
Yes, they have.
We have something like that.
We used to have them, exactly, Jared. Yeah, we used to have them on the CPU particle system. And again, we moved across. We've moved more of our planet effects, well, all of our planet effects, to the GPU, but we didn't have refraction. So a refraction particle getting that heat wave look wasn't available to us. So once we get that on the GPU, then yeah, we can put the shimmer back in. Yeah.
Okay. One of the most common questions that we get, and maybe put you on the spot a little bit here, space dust. Have you considered the option of letting people just check a box and remove it? Some people don't like it. I like it, but some people don't.
Yeah, I see that a lot, and I understand that it's not to everyone's taste. We're not planning on removing it, just because, it physically exists in our space, in our game. It's physically there. It's not an AR thing, because I know there's been conversations about, oh, hang on, what is the purpose of the space dust? I know that it's primarily to make it feel like you can see that you're moving. Basically, it gives you that parallax. You take the space dust out, you've got no kind of sense of that you're moving. And I know that there'll be some people want the more realism side of it, that they don't care that they can't see any kind of visual cue. There's been talk of putting it onto an AR, so it's a deliberately artificial space dust kind of thing that helps with that. We did some tests quite a while ago on that sort of thing. Chris is quite keen on keeping the space dust in. One thing I will say is that, again, something that I've been doing personally, I've been tweaking the values. So again, it's quite not the most glamorous of effects, but I've just been looking at maybe not making the streaks quite as big, maybe reducing the amount, increasing the amount, depending on the location. So really just chipping away at that and just trying to make them not too intrusive, but so that you still get the benefit of getting that motion.
Graphic designers are known to suffer from word blindness when looking at the same words over and over again during visual design. Does the same thing happen for visual effects?
Tio, tell us.
Yes. So for me, it's not so much obviously text or anything like that. It's more motion and intensity. So a good example is when I'm working on the fire effects and tweaking values with different strengths on the actual fire effect. After like about an hour, it's hard for me to distinguish between the changes I'm making. And that just is because it's like when you're sitting in the back of a car that's moving for a long time, and then you stop, and then your vision continues to make you feel like you're moving. That happens definitely to me a lot. So it's important to take breaks, work on another type of effect even, or something completely different, and then come back to it. Otherwise, you just waste time making changes that don't make any sense.
I think that's where your colleagues come in useful as well. It's nice to show an effect that you've been staring at for so long, and you actually, I might give Tio some feedback, or he might give me some feedback, or no, Leo, anyone in the team will go. They'll point things out that you've just become blind to because again you're just looking at it for so long. Yeah.
That happens in just about every aspect of game development. That'll even happen in video stuff. It's by the time IST segments go out to the public, I've seen each one at least 24 times in a variety of different states, and everyone will finally bring it out and branch it to other people, and they'll be like, "Why is this thing there?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? There's this giant
Papa Zuzu, thank you for the follow.
Ugly ass square thing in the middle of the scene right here," and it's like, "Oh, I've looked at that footage so many times, and for so long I was completely oblivious to it." We'll go ahead. We'll recapture that. I didn't realize. I didn't say so. Yeah. So contact repetitiveness blindness is something that affects anything when you just work on it over and over and over for a prolonged period of time. Two final questions before we wrap up here. How do you balance VFX needs versus game performance?
Oh, well, that's a good one. I mean,
that is a good question.
Yeah. Well, we've got to make it work, you know. So the fire is probably a good example of that. Ground storms was another example. We know we've got a clear brief on what it is we need to do, and it just so happens that the fire is gonna, you know, that's very easily going to be a performance breaker. So we need to look at smart people like Leo help us out here, and Simon. Yeah, you do, Leo. You know, we need to look at we need to make sure that they are performant. I mean, this is a game development core principle for everyone in every department. You've got to be able to make sure that it runs in frame. It's got to be optimal, and maybe you make some compromises for that, but you got to make sure that the compromises aren't to the detriment of the visual quality.
And go ahead. You want to add?
No, I was going to say this makes a big difference to me when working on impact effects, for example. I could visually I could throw it tons and tons of particles with smoke and like make it really look cool when a mass driver hits snow, which I've prototyped before and worked on. But you do feel that lag come in when you have an impact or fire a weapon, and that's just a no for me. It drives me crazy when I'm playing any other game. So it's something I will put performance. I put performance before visuals. And trying to get as much visuals out of the performance.
Yeah, it's worth noting that in that fire demo that we saw today, and then in all the footage we've seen in previous ones, that is a very WIP effect for the fire itself.
Yeah.
It is. The work right now is on the tech and making sure the tech is lean and mean and functions the way, and then once all that's done, somebody will go in and start working on the actual fire effect itself. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, like Simon and Leo did great things with the ground storms. By the way, like that was a huge undertaking. There's a lot of effects going on the screen, and the performance is actually really good. Given what they're doing, the performance is actually really good on them. So yeah, Tio's absolutely right. Like we've got to make sure that the gameplay experience is kind of top priority there.
All right. Final question before we let you go: fireworks in space. Really?
Yes. Yes, really. I mean, yeah, it's do we need to justify it with some lore,
science?
with some tech behind
930 years worth of advanced technology.
Yeah. Leo's got some thoughts on this, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's called space fireworks.
Yeah. Just like.
Oh, they're space fireworks.
Say
no more. Say no. I didn't realize they were space fireworks. Now it all makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, just needed that clarification. I'm sure that's put an end to that argument.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for taking time out of the end of your week to be here on the show. I think folks really appreciate it. I know I did. As we want to do at the end of every SCL now, we are going to throw a raid over to a Star Citizen streamer that is hopefully broadcasting right now. I haven't heard for certain, but we're going to find out. This is a French streamer named I'm not good at.
Okay, we're going to wrap that since they're wrapping it up. J2, let me hit you real quick. This thing is... All right, J2, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to come to you real quick and see what are your thoughts about this whole thing they showed in relation to fire and how that's kind of developing.
Well, like I said before, I mean, all this stuff is really cool, and it will be a great addition to the game when the game is finished.
Okay.
Right now, I want to see systems. I want to see background tech. I want to see the stuff that's making the game work. I want to know what they're doing on that and how they're, keeping that moving forward and progressing in that area. You know, these types of Inside Star Citizens, they're good, they're entertaining, but you know, it doesn't have that substance that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know,
I know that Kimmy, you've talked about this before, that sometimes the community gets very focused on, you know, they'll show us something like this, like J2 was just mentioning. They'll talk about this thing of fire. It's been a whole hour talking about the fire piece, right, and effects. But people in the community also forget that there are different teams that are working on different things. So even though there are the things that we're getting in the immediate, like right now within the next few months, there are people that are working on stuff that's going to be coming next year. Right now, they're working on that. They have different teams working on different things. Do you think that CIG should kind of keep it more focused on the stuff that's most relevant to players now? Or do you think it is helpful for them to see what's maybe 9 months down the road or a year and a half down the road? What do you think as far as the community? What's the best way they should be presenting? Or should they present a little of both even? What do you think?
Are you asking me or Kemi?
This is for Kimmy. Yeah, I'm asking
Oh,
Kimmy.
okay.
Well, I got to say to both of your comments, man, that's awesome. Your perspectives on that, and that there's a lot of weight with what you're both saying. But at the same time, when you look at, I'm placing myself over into the studio of SIG, and the fact that they're juggling through a lot of different things, that's probably the only content that they can really show at the time, or you know, to fill that space of giving content, because some of the other tech isn't ready or they don't want to show certain things. So with the delivering of things, that's kind of hard for them. Is to keep to what what the backers want to see and what they're tuned into. I think it's a juggling act for them, and it doesn't always come across well when they deliver on some things that they deliver to us to show us, and we're like, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But at the time, that other tech isn't ready. So that's why we get some of these shows that are, to some of us, to some of the backers, it's a great show. To some of the backers, it's like, for me, I'll say, well, that's Squad 42 centric stuff. And it just seeped over to just recently watching this. It's like, well, I can see where they could use it in Pyro, right? But of course, yeah, they're gonna make that as some sort of gameplay mechanic later on, probably in the next couple of years for Firemen, right? But yeah, it's just in order what they can deliver at the same time. So it's just a matter of when it's ready, it'll go around that revolver, and then okay, here you go, we're Red Tech, and that's some of the stuff that a lot of us are dialed in on, like the back end services, the engineering side. When are we going to get more players counts, and the networking team going to have something to divulge? It's we're waiting on the server side, although it's just not ready yet.
Right.
So they have to say, well, we have to give something to the crowd. We got to give them some meat.
Yeah. And I've heard the fans.
We got to feed them some meat.
Yeah, and I've heard the base say that sometimes they feel like they just kind of threw something out there. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily relevant to what's going on right now. And to J2's point, obviously the community does want to see the next step of what we're going to be doing, not just because I have to admit, they said that even the fire here, that we were just seeing the tools. They said this isn't even the fire that will ultimately be here. This is just, they've made that there just so they can work on the tool. So that can be frustrating, right? It'd be different if they said, oh yeah, fire's coming out in 3.11. You know what I mean? Then people would be like, oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
But when it does come off as long term, it does kind of put people off a little bit. For some people, like you said, the geeks and the nerds who are into the development and design, they'll sit here and eat this up for a solid hour. Other people, 15, 20 minutes, they're changing the channel, because it's not really telling them the next page of what's going to happen in the game.
In there for everybody.
Yeah. So, listen, guys, before we go, if you want to jump in and give your thoughts, just like J2 did, just like Admiral Kusanagi did, click on that Discord server link. That's not to join our Discord per se, to join the server, but it's a part of joining the show and talking. And as you can see, J2 shares some really good stuff. And if you guys have any thoughts or comments about this week or anything about Star Citizen, we're going to put another maybe 3 or 4 minutes in. If somebody jumps in, we'll do it. But if not, J2,
can I just
you want to throw? Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I just had, one more thought I wanted to add, is that, when it comes to development, particularly the development of Star Citizen, a lot of features and things like that get added to the game, things that we don't think are really relevant. But we, as the backers and players, we don't have the full picture.
Yeah.
We're not seeing everything that they're going on. We play this game, we log in every night, and we play this game as it's a complete game. And it's nowhere near complete, not even close. When you look at the list of features, there is so much there that has yet to be added. So the interplays of certain things, it may not make sense to us when they add it into a game, but it may make sense to them with how it, interacts and works and layers in with other features and things like that. So I try not to judge or question too much when a feature doesn't really make sense to me. I just want to hear more about I want them to communicate, not even communicate more, but communicate a little bit differently, maybe. I mean, it's like, the process of building a house, this thing with the fire and stuff, they're telling us, oh, we're going to put this gorgeous couch over here and we're going to paint the walls this color and use this wonderful trim. Well, that's fantastic and it looks great, but you haven't finished building the foundation yet. So, where are you going with all this?
Right.
And that's the stuff that I want to hear. And as far as what Zelix was saying there in chat about, it's hard to show, server meshing, I absolutely agree. I wouldn't want to watch an hour on that either. But a little blurb in the monthly report or in a weekly report even that says, hey, we got some guys working on server meshing, they hit a roadblock in this respect, or they're waiting for this other team to finish this part before they can get this done. That type of thing is what I'm particularly looking for. There are certain things where, it comes up and the devs just go completely silent, on particular topics, and we're kind of left hanging in limbo there. Just a little bit more. Just tell us what's going on. That's all I ask.
Right. That's a good point.
Anyway,
good point.
Enough of my rant.
Well, no, it's not a rant because the big T word, transparency, is the
that's
thing
a really
that the
good
community
point.
is always asking about. So, the more transparency, and we realize there, as Kimmy said, there are some things that obviously because of development they don't want to show. For those of us who were around in the early days, if you remember when stuff got out that was not ready, not only did the community often have some say about it and say some negative things, but the industry also did as well. So there's also them protecting the interest of the game. As much as they may want to show us some things, there are plenty of folks out there who will grab that stuff and obviously turn around how terrible the game is after $300 million. What is this crap they're putting out? You can already hear what type of speeches we'd be hearing on that area. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and let you go, J2, because we got another person coming in to terrorize us. J2 gave us some good stuff. J2 gave us some good stuff. The next person's coming in to harass us. J2, thanks a lot, buddy. We appreciate you stopping in.
Anytime, my man.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
And
my God.
Yeah, you should have known.
Where's J2?
I know. We had to bring
J2. Where are you? Come, J2, come back.
Bring J2 back. Riddler, I saw you. If you still want to come in, I will make some time for you. I saw you pop in. I don't know if you had to leave, but you're welcome to come back if you'd like. Fast Cart, how are you, buddy?
What was that?
Ambassador.
Am I on? Is this thing on? Am I on?
You're on.
No, we're just teasing. Yeah, we're just teasing.
Hey, Mom, I'm on TV. Look at me. I'm on TV, Mom. No, I just want to say good job on the show again, guys. I'm still your biggest fan. I just want to bring up, have you guys looked at the crowdfunding spreadsheet? I brought it up and talked about the Pico sale.
No.
But we just had, 3 point, the new pack come out, and new ship sales. So I'm looking at the spreadsheet, and they're making money again on the day that the new patch went live. They made $475,000, and then on the last 2 days they're averaging around $450.
Wow! So between the patch and the Talon, that's what they did.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they are quickly approaching 310 million. They're at 309.6 million now.
Jeez, goodness gracious. It's unbelievable that they're still bringing it in like that, and we all know that we still got the anniversary coming up with the anniversary sale. Based upon what we
And we
saw
got
happen.
CitizenCon.
Yes, CitizenCon, yeah, that whole period.
Yes,
and so,
virtual.
we
Yep.
saw what happened with Invictus. I'm really curious to see how they're going to
Yeah.
match up against Invictus Week, because Invictus
lot of
was
digital-
just off the meter. Yeah,
Digital content.
it was off the
Also,
meter.
special note: they've advertised on their website.
Uh-oh, we lost you. Kim,
So-
you advertised what on their website?
Oh no, I heard you talking. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. We were waiting to hear what you were going to say.
Oh, I was just going to say a special note. Also hiring, but they're not just hiring.
Yes.
They have positions, but said this. Take note of this, guy. They said, if you feel as though you have special skill sets, put it in resume, and we can determine, hey, where we can place you. If you feel as though you have something to contribute, just go ahead and send us that resume anyway. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That they listed that. Yep.
Yep. And it's a good point you mentioned, Kimmy, because there have been some people who will say that, and there was a period of time when CIG let some people go. But that's a part of the development process, that they use people when they need them, and then some folks rotate out. But then, people were making these assumptions of, people are leaving, there's not enough money, they're running out of cash. And here they are right now with multiple positions, right, that are open. They've had for a while now. They've been trying to get more people hired on at CIG. So that doesn't look like the sign of a company that's failing, when you're constantly hiring and bringing new people on board with new positions and stuff. So that's a good point that you mentioned. Fastcart, thank you for giving us those numbers too, because I had not looked at the recent numbers I didn't even think about it this week, because it didn't seem like a big deal to me. But evidently, all the buzz, and maybe, and Kimmy, what do you think? Do you think some of that negative press that was out about Squadron 42 and 10-1 was delayed actually drew people into the game, that those numbers would go up like that? Do you think that could have been a possibility?
It always will. I mean, it always will, but they're always going to draw negativity to it because it's under a microscope, and because of the influx of revenue that they've taken in. But when you look at the game itself, a lot of people, they look at things and it just doesn't get old. Sunsets and planets traveling from space stations, and those visuals, they don't get old.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how many, if they got new people that signed up as well this period. I'll have to go take a look at the numbers. I don't know, Fastcard, if you can tell whether or not there was also an influx, not just in revenue, but maybe new people signing up for the game.
It just so happened I just posted a picture in Twitch chat.
Okay.
That's directly from the spreadsheet. The first number today, the second number is the cumulative funding, the second number is daily funding, and the third number is the cumulative citizens account. So if you look at the fourth column, you can see how fast they're going with regard to accounts.
Wow, that's amazing. That is truly amazing.
Yeah, Reddit showed something.
Yeah.
Reddit showed something where they were pretty much right there with last year's total income of the entire year.
Already, yeah.
As you guys mentioned, you think about it. You already talked about there's the virtual CitizenCon that's coming up.
Right.
And we have another entire quarter of just development and bringing things online as well.
Right.
So they're not done.
Yeah. 311, 312. We got 4 more months to go, and we're already hitting the numbers. So you're right, Kimmy. That's some pretty awesome stuff. Well, we don't have anybody else.
We've been hitting the numbers for a while. Like we hit, I think it was June that we hit the number from last year total.
Oh yeah. No, that's what I mean. We're just been exceeding numbers like crazy amidst even negative press. The numbers have just been going up, which is kind of mind blowing to me. But we don't
bringing
have
out affordable vehicles too. Right?
Yes.
You made that point earlier, Griff. Those affordable vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, for that alien ship, you're right. Well, Kimmy, you're cutting out again. I don't know what happened. We lost your audio, buddy. I don't know. We lost his audio again. I'm sorry, buddy. Well, listen, we don't have anybody else in the queue, and we are going to pull it in for the night. But I have to say thank you to all the folks who dropped in tonight. Admiral Kusanagi, who dropped in, J2, who dropped in. We appreciate both of you guys and all the stuff that you shared. Thank you for all those folks who came over from Astropub and hung out with us as well. Scuba Steve, I saw you walk in, man. Good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Zelix, thanks for all the comments tonight. Thank you for everybody who dropped in comments. And don't forget, guys, you always can join in live with us. We're trying to actually move out of the chat box answering questions and hearing what you have to say, because we want to hear from the community, and you guys don't just have to listen to us talk, because we talk every week. But anyway, Kimby, if you could hear me, if you got any last words, or if you want to wave, I don't know if your mic kicked back in, but you can throw up a sign. Fast Cart, you're still there, right?
Yep.
Okay, you got anything you want to say before we head out of here tonight?
Thanks for listening, and thanks for streaming. It was fun. I had to look for a bit, but I'm back here, and I enjoyed. I don't get to. I didn't finish watching Inside Star Citizen today, so it was good to finish it with you guys.
Oh, okay, cool. That's great. I'm glad. Of course, we're glad to have you here. And this Sunday, we will be Soul Citizens is this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to be talking about trading and trading starships, trading ships. So those of you who are into trading, we're going to talk about the difference with trading and cargo. So you might want to come in and hear this. You may like our definition, you may not, but all of the Soul Citizens who are going to be on this week are going to be giving their opinion about which ships they believe are best for trading. So you don't want to miss that. And again, we appreciate you guys being here tonight on a Friday night and hanging out with us. So let's see, before we go, let's see if we can raid somebody tonight. We'll do that tonight. Give me 1 second here to see who's on board. Us? Oh, you said awesome. I thought you said us. Rate ourselves. Let's see, who do we have here? Why don't we go with
07 07 to you all. Thank you.
Go with Mector down there. We'll try somebody a little bit different here. We'll go with Scheme Era. There we go. Scheme Era. We'll go with Scheme Era. There we go. Scheme Era.
You got somebody? You got somebody?
Yeah, I think I've got somebody. I'm getting a little echo for some reason, There we go. All right, gang. Again, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. Again, say hello to Scheme Era when you get there, and everybody have a great weekend, safe weekend, and as always, love, peace, and soul. As always, love, peace, and soul. Take care.
07.